Today we have a student who is just 1.5 years out of college and on his third startup. What is FieldCamp all about?
FieldCamp is basically we are building, we can say, first fully agentic software for small to medium business owners.
How big is the market?
In terms of TAM, the market is pretty big, $3 billion market. With AI, no one, not even VCs know yet that what's a good product look like, what does a good team look like, what does a number of people look like.
Not all startups make it, but why do you think you'll be successful?
The reason we'll be successful is, of course, first of all, the knowledge about the industry. This is my third time doing the thing for almost same group of people. So I know ins and outs of where do they search, what do they talk, who do they talk to, how do they talk, what the terms do they use. So for leveraging those connections.
Hello and welcome to another super fantastic episode of Pitch Cafe podcast. We are a podcast that covers amazing startup, venture, and corporate stories. Stories of bold beginners who are not afraid of doing something innovative. Today we have a student who is just 1.5 years out of college and on his third startup. I'm not kidding. When I met this student, he looked like a student in Silicon Valley. Even though he comes out of a small town in Gujarat, not so small town, but again, from Gujarat to Silicon Valley, he made his journey with all his bold moves. And he told me that his startup has just got acquired and he's doing his next gig. I was like, wow, you are a student. You didn't even graduate. Your gig is getting acquired. What are you up to? Without further ado, let's bring on the podcast Jeel Patel. He is the co-founder of FieldCamp, which is his third startup gig. And Jeel is here to tell you all about what his startup journey is like. What are the do's and don'ts for student founders and why he's been very successful in getting his startups acquired. Jeel, welcome to Pitch Cafe podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here with you.
Wonderful. So Jeel, we had so many conversations now. I've become a big fan of you, but I also want to share this wow moment which I experience time and again with you, with my audience. So tell me, you started your startup venture as a student. Where did you go to college and how did your first startup InvoiceOwl take shape?
Yeah, so basically I moved to Canada with my family in 2017 and did my grade 11 and 12 there, and then started my university at University of Toronto. And right after the first sem, COVID hit. So that's a sad part of it. Then when you are very happy in your first year, trying to, of course, back then meet some people, COVID hit, everything was boring. And at that time, it was all the PUBG era which was going on, that everyone was playing games. And of course, I have a business background, like my family is in business. So my parents just nudged me that, hey, how about you at least learn some skill while you have this free time going online, and started with SEO and playing around with affiliate marketing, which was my first website, which was TomFW. And that ultimately, after a few months, led to InvoiceOwl, which was the SaaS software.
Wonderful. And who acquired your first startup?
InvoiceOwl, that was acquired by some folks in Silicon Valley. And these guys have a pretty decent exit in their last company. And they were looking for the next space in the fintech. And I got this email from Andrew, who is Acquire.com CEO. And he was like, hey, you should meet these guys. And they are they are interested in your product and you plan to sell. So I'm like, yeah, sure, let's meet them. 2 months afterwards, I know that the product is acquired.
Amazing. So, it's like a dream that you get a call from the person who wants to acquire you. I've been hearing this from Silicon Valley veterans. Your startups, you don't sell it, people buy it. So startups get bought, so you don't push it on people. People want to buy, they come after you. And obviously they saw something in your startup. So tell me, what was so attractive about your startup and how did you go about making your startup so attractive?
So because we had this pretty honest conversation with them, and those guys are still mentors for me because they are well connected in the Valley. And the number one reason I asked them the same question, that why are you interested in my product? because the the software was nothing unique. It was just a invoicing software, and there were exactly 10 competitors out there doing the same exact thing. Then why me? And they were like that your distribution is sorted out really well. And one thing is that even going further in distribution, you have inbound distribution, which means your SEO and all other channels like review sites are so well that you are getting 50 leads daily. Now that's already a starting point for us to build something next we are visioning. So that's what they were interested in, that we already have a distribution channel. Now let's build a product on that.
How far along in your coursework were you when you started the company, and when did it get acquired?
So I started it in my second year. Like second year was just getting started in university. Wow. That's when I started it, and it got acquired this year, like 2024 March. So I can say right 6 months after I graduated.
So about 2.5 years into the startup, it got acquired. That's not bad at all. And I see that you're also part CEO of Upper Route Planner, and your of most favorite project or startup right now is you're a co-founder of FieldCamp. What are these two companies, and how do you split your time between them?
So after Invoiceall got acquired, of course, everyone was building AI since last 1 year. And you see all these VC companies, Y Combinator News, everyone is just doing AI, AI, AI. And for someone like me, who just has a BBA degree, they don't have any technical background. So where to start with? That was the first question. And secondly, it is very easy to build a AI wrapper. Like you can just build like an OpenAI API and just create a UI to it. But that was very easy to do, and that would not last for long. So how to create something which has a lasting value, and that can be a profitable business for like next 10 years. And it was the goal. And with what I started after the Invoiceall acquisition, I started learning about all this AI. For example, doing MIT courses, Andrew Karpady's courses on how these models work, understanding the roots of the system rather than just the leaves of the system. So while this was going on in the family, we also have this another SaaS, which is Upper Route Planner. I just participated in that because the kind of audience there is a bit different. It's more into logistics. And I just thought that while I'm learning, it would be also good to practice some sales skills and talk to people who are actually in logistics, which can ultimately help me connect dots between SMBs, logistics, how they manage everything, and then ultimately help me make my next solution.
Wonderful. So this was a very good project for you to get a hang of AI. I mean, it's admirable that you self-taught yourself AI. It was not pushed on you. You did everything to catch up. And so, in that, what is your advice for non-technical founders to build technology? What is one thing you got right, which most people don't do?
I think the advantage of non-technical founders is to connect the dots and understand the concepts by connecting the dots. And that's the skill that people, I think, should utilize, because see, I still this day I can do basic Python programming or JavaScript programming. But apart from that, I still don't code. But what I focus on majority of my time is, first of all, as I said, there is this learning tree, and the leaves are the ultimately the smallest part or the outcomes, and the roots are where everything is coming, the circulatory system of a business. So how I think non-technical founders should focus on the roots, that hey, how these models work, or what is the concept of behind transformers, attention mechanisms. And the reason for that is, it's not because you are going to train a model, but the reason is, as Steve Jobs said, that as he was learning calligraphy, he didn't know if he was going to use the calligraphy in Macintosh. But then he went ahead a few years down the road, and then he knew that, hey, this was actually useful. So that's what my outtake is, that I don't know what I'm going to do with all this knowledge while I'm building currently the AGENTIC platform. But it always helps that, hey, this is how the system work in the background. So in future, if I have to train my own model or anything, I have the knowledge.
So, in Silicon Valley, a lot of engineers are becoming CEOs. Investors are preferring product-centric CEOs, and CEOs are working very hard to catch up with the product. I think that's the advice you're giving. Even though you're from a non-technical background, do what it takes to catch up on the fundamentals of technology. And from what you mentioned, you're saying it should be first principles thinking. Don't just take things for face value. go and explore what the fundamentals are. What is a funda? Why are they saying what they're saying? So that's incredible. And so you did upper route. And what is field camp all about? This is what you're really passionately pursuing as your current project. And last time when we spoke, you said you're not happy with the way small businesses are doing, getting funded. You want to do something about it. Tell us a little bit about all of this.
Yeah, exactly. So, FieldCamp is basically we are building an AI first, we can say first fully agentic software for small to medium business owners.
Okay,
And
hold
that
on. Now tell us what the difference between building a AI co-pilot versus AI agent is. I know that AI agent executes things. Co-pilot just suggests things or it shows you data and patterns. Agents do things. So what are you actually building here when you say AI agent?
let's understand in this way that a co-pilot can focus on one task at a given time, which
Right.
means that, hey, help me write this email in a better way. Now the
Right.
co-pilot can go ahead and actually do it. Now,
Yeah.
but it won't, in most cases, it won't send the email for you. You would have to ultimately send it. And
Yeah.
co-pilot is just an aid. And what agents can do is agents cannot, or you just tell your intent that, hey, this is what I'm planning to do. This is my end goal. Like if you want to go from A to B to C to D, Copilot can go from A to C to E. It can help you skip steps. But what agents can do is, hey, this is E and this is where I want to reach. Now
Yeah.
help me reach there. And the agents can do A, B, C, and D.
Right.
So that is what we are doing. For example, that there is the email part to a CRM, there is a calendar part to a CRM, there is a client management part to it. But how you can control everything from one interface, and you just come in and you are talking to your friend, like I'm talking to you, and you just say that, hey, I just thought about this, that I have to create this client. Her name is Vida, and she is interested in my XYZ services, and also assign the right person for the job. Now,
Yeah.
the traditional interfaces, they just tell that, hey, I first create a client, then schedule a meeting with her, and then figure out who in your team is the right person to do that job, and ultimately schedule a job. That's what you can do in the existing softwares like Get Job or Service Titan. But what if, as I said, I can just drop my intent there, and the system goes ahead, and it's the intelligence layer which it automates, and it finds like who is the right person with the exact skill set required to fulfill this job. When are they available? When is the customer available? And everything in the between. It schedules it, and you are just sitting there pointing and clicking, drinking your coffee. So
Wow.
that's what we are planning to do.
That's amazing. So, how far along are you in building such amazing, shall I say, are they applications anymore or what are they called? Can you call them applications?
You can call them one product because, for example, it's just a product, and behind that there are multiple agentic teams. Like there is a product team, there is an email team, etc. So
Wow.
the agent teams are controlled by a CEO. So I am just sitting there in one interface and I'm commanding them what to do.
So,
So,
let me ask you this. Are you a solopreneur? Are your employees agents?
so we have a small team working on FieldCamp. We are around 7 people currently. We are from first day, 2 of them are mobile developers. So we are going mobile first with this approach. So it's easily accessible. But yeah, 7 people team.
Wonderful. The energy in India is so amazing. In AI, there's so much going on now. The Thai Global Summit just concluded. I don't know if you attended, but a lot of people from the Silicon Valley came there, and Mustafa Sulaiman was there. Yuval Noah Harari was in Bangalore, and they spoke to the top influencers in India, and it's incredible. And so quickly you're doing the agentic AI startup. So tell me more. What are the risks of building an agentic AI application like this? Look, I'm very picky about my write-ups. What goes on my LinkedIn. I have a certain style, and I don't want any problems when I send email. I work with CEOs all the time, and I double check my emails. Nothing, and in investors who are very picky about small things, and I'm very nervous now. Will agentic AI meet my requirements? How are you training these models? Where's the data coming from?
So let's address the negative parts of it first. That first of all, what can go wrong? So
Yeah.
first of all, what can go wrong is, for example, this week earlier or last weekend, OpenAI was down for a couple of hours. Now,
Correct.
major operations are running on API by OpenAI. then you are sorry, but you are you are in a hole. What to do? So first of all, from day one, we are building architecture in a way that if AI doesn't work, then the manual processes, the way current softwares operate, still works. So that's what our focus from day one is. Like you, if the AI chat doesn't work, you can still go manually and create a client or import a client. So those are some things which as a backup we are doing. And second issue, which is a current infrastructure issue, is the latency among these models. That to achieve some task, like you ask the agent to do something, then they have to break it down, then convert into embeddings, understand it, then prepare a JSON, execute it, then prepare a response, convert it, and then answer it to you. So this is the 10 to 15 seconds. Now, if you are imagining, if you create a client manually, it's going to take you like at least 2 minutes. But even though 15 seconds seems longer when you are just seeing at a screen, waiting for the response. So that's the second challenge, which is the latency. And I'm pretty sure it will get better over time as models get better and more GPUs everyone is getting more GPUs with equal distribution. So that's the two challenges which I see. The benefits, which I think what the approach, for example, in your use case is, if you see any AI email responding system until now, what they do is they send the email to the chat GPT or anything, and they get a reply out of it. But as you said, it doesn't understand your tone, doesn't understand the context, or doesn't understand the interactions they had. So how we are doing this, I'm happy to share, is we have this client knowledge graph. So everything you have on that client, everything I have on you, files, interactions, meeting notes, any details, everything. When you ask us to reply to an email, we send everything with that email to AI, and we are like, based on this is the context, this is the email. Now, what tone she prefers when she is talking to this particular client, and then prepare a response to it.
So let me ask you this: is this the work of generative AI, or you're doing knowledge graphs using AI? Is generative AI kicking in here? Because if you use OpenAI APIs, so this is generative AI, correct?
Yes. We use generative AI to prepare things.
Just wondering, because that means the OpenAI APIs are assessing all the knowledge graphs and they're generating a personality for me. And based on that personality, they're creating an email. And how do you know that? Is there an error correction of trial and error where you try to match my personality with the personality the GenAI has created? Do you go through that phase? I guess that's your model training for agentic AI. Is that how that works?
So for agents, there is the thing same as humans. It's memory. So there is short-term memory and there's long-term memory. So when you send something for this particular task, then there is short-term memory that, hey, this is the email, which is the short-term goal. But overall, the long-term memory, that's internal with us in the database. And that's what we are preparing of how agents are working on your data. What do you prefer? What types of edit do you give? And what are you giving the agents? And then based on that long-term memory, we don't share that memory everywhere, but we pick small parts out of it and then execute the tasks.
That's amazing. I was wondering all this while when you were talking about FieldCamp, how big is the market? You have been very good with picking the problem and you have been good in creating distribution and traction. So what is the market looking like for this particular startup?
So if you see in terms of TAM, the market is pretty big, $3 billion market. We are competing Service Titan IPO. So we are competing against Service Titan and Get Jobber. Now that's like declaring a war against Jira and Intercom at this point. So that's the comparison in our industry. But it's gonna take some time. For example, what I know the best, which is SEO, might not be the best distribution channel in this one because you are creating a category. And if no one is going to be searching something like, hey, until for 2 years, that hey, AI for field service management or AI for plumbers, for example, there would be a lack of inbound demand. So the goal for distribution for this one, first of course, would be social media first. That this is what we have observed. There's contractors, small businesses are getting very active on social media because they know that they can get traction from there. So how can we be present there? And second is how can we give them business, because just giving them time will not be enough. The day you use this software, you save your time, reduce the learning curve. That won't be enough. How can you give them business? And you are like, hey, I'm giving you this business, and I'm also going to be giving you this software to run with your business. And that's
Yeah.
the bigger distribution like vision we have in mind.
Wonderful. So 3 billion TAM with specific, you're mitigating specific pain points for your customers. And look, the field service domain, right? I mean, I've been with the startups for 8 years now. This is a very favorite problem. Field service. A lot of people pick these, virtual reality, augmented reality, and now you're doing agentic AI. How do you differentiate yourself? Not all startups make it, but why do you think you'll be successful?
I think the reason will be successful is, of course, the first of all, the knowledge about the industry. This is my third time doing the thing for same group of people, almost same group of people. So I know ins and outs of where do they search, what do they talk, who do they talk to, how do they talk, what the terms do they use. So, like, first of all, leveraging those connections, that would be a main differentiator. And the blueprint is there. Of course, the with AI, no one, not even VCs know yet that what's a good product look like, what does a good team look like, what does a number of people look like.
Just unpack that for me. Just say that again. I mean, I like that. I like what you said.
So
expand a little bit more.
Yes, so basically, this is I'm stealing it from some my mentor who told me that he said that, for example, till now VCs knew that what does a good SaaS business look like, what does a good pricing for this type of market looks like, and for example, in the initial stage, what's the team size, and then how would it scale from there. So they had these three things sorted out: people, product, and pricing. Three P's. Now, first of all, everyone is saying AI usage based or output based pricing which is going to be there, but no one knows how to do it. Even myself, I'm learning that how the outcome based pricing or usage based pricing I'm going to charge for FieldCamp. Then for coming to the people part of it, no one knows that how much advancement is happening. Cursor can do a lot of coding for you. So does that mean you are replacing one developer with three developers with one developer? So the people size, it's confusing because every day new AI code writers are coming out. And the third part, which is the product part of it, even the product, there are a lot of VCs are casting a big net. Y Combinator, if you see, almost all startups are now getting into Y Combinator because no one knows that, hey, what type of product will ultimately be used. There is a lot of stuff happening.
So let me ask you this. Is your co-founder an agentic AI or is it a real human?
You can say hybrid of both.
What? Please expand. What do you mean by that?
So I can say we have three co-founders. One is the CTO who handles the technical part and everything. I am there, and then also I use O1 a lot, the advanced like the version of ChatGPT O1.
And, is that AGI? No, it's not. O3 is AGI.
Oh, sorry. So I use O3, which is the latest one. I just call it O1 because it's the $200 subscription one. I am not sure which one it is.
You pay $200 for subscription?
Yes.
What's your how much are you? What's your revenue like? Are you bootstrapped or do you have customers? What's your revenue scene looking like?
So currently we haven't officially launched. January 1st, tomorrow we will aggressively start the marketing and distribution of it. Currently it's bootstrapped out of the acquisition money of InvoiceOut.
Wonderful. So you're using that money to build a new startup. That's amazing. This is a new and exciting landscape. I learned a lot just by picking your brain on your new startup. So tell me, what kind of checks are you raising for your seed? When will you raise a check for your seed funding? I
will raise seed. I'm not commenting on the timeline, but until we would first need, at least my goal is to get 100, like clear focus for now. Tunnel vision is 100 customers. How do you get 100 paying customers? And then we will think that even if we need funding. For now we know that ultimately we are going to need funding, but at that point we don't we would like comment on that point later. But the first goal is first get 100 customers, prove that your idea works, and if that works, more development can be put into it, more resources can be put into it.
Wonderful. So what kind of learnings do you get from Silicon Valley And how do you want to collaborate with Silicon Valley?
So the best learning experience I had Silicon Valley was my last year at DevRev, and I was first of all I joined DevRev as an intern, but then within a few months I just converted into full time with them, and I was there with them learning a lot with Dheeraj Pandey, Manoj, and all the team members, Bhavna, and the skills I think I've learned from them within 6 to 8 months period. It's like
Phenomenal.
I would have not learned that in 4 years of university. That's like my
Yeah.
clear.
Nothing like interacting with mentors one on one. Like in podcasting, I always try to get the CEO, whether it's a big company or the CEO, the top tier management. They you learn a lot, even if you spend. I totally agree with you, 100%.
Exactly, and the mentor should be willing to guide you in the right way. And I think those few people in Silicon Valley, like Vinod from Unifor, he was at Unifor, but those guys were like open enough to guide me that hey, you should think like this. For example, one of the insights that Dheeraj shared with me, I still remember. We are going on a walk for a coffee, and he was just like. Currently for we are talking about some idea or something, and he's like your vision is currently too short term. Think long term and don't think for quick wins, because there is nothing as quick wins. How would you create a dent in the world? There's a Steve Jobs way of saying it, but how do you create a dent? And I still like, if I'm making a decision about something, I'm still learning that skill, but I'm thinking like, hey, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year down the road, how is this going to play out? So these kinds of lessons are valuable.
That's a very profound interaction. Kind of like changing how you think, the way you approach things, right? Those are the gems you don't want to compromise. You want to get every minute with your mentor. So amazing, amazing. On that note, Jeel, you interact with so many founders. You are a founder yourself. Like you're in the thick of the Indian startup ecosystem. You're in Gujarat. What is your advice to Gen Z founders who are coming up with new startups?
What I would like to tell them is just that, first of all, classic startup advice, focus on distribution. And this with AI, it's becoming more and more, first of all, it's becoming more important to have multiple distribution channels, because content is getting saturated. Until now, content was an advantage, but it's getting saturated slowly. You need to figure out those distribution channels. And secondly, need to as important it is to have a distribution channel, it will be as important to not just develop niche product, solve a vertical AI use case, deploy vertical agents.
Explain that. Explain that.
So going vertical just means that you are solving one problem very deeply, and like no one is going to be solving that problem like you. For example, we are solving the field service management space. Most softwares, if you see if you search up on Google, they are going to be helping you with job scheduling, invoicing, estimating, and managing your team. But how do you? Okay, this is the middle part of the journey. Is take a step back. How are the leads coming in? The leads are coming in through their receptionist, like they're getting calls that, hey, I want my bathroom fixed. Then another way of lead channel is website. So how about developing an AI receptionist? That's what we are already worked on. That we have an AI receptionist, which first of all takes your business knowledge and handles the calls like a real time talking. It handles interruptions just like a real person. So you don't have to be on the site answering to calls like continuously. If something happens, like if the AI is not sure, for example, 90% or less, then only you get the call. So that's the number one thing. First of all, that you go one step back in the process. And which is the next one? How do you go one step next in the process, which is the intelligence layer? Everyone is solving the grind layer. Like in the AI, there are two layers. Everyone is mostly solving the grind layer, which is you are bringing workflow optimization. But how would you solve the intelligence layer, that the contractor or the SMB person doesn't even need to do that thing? He's just sitting in his office pointing and clicking it. So that's what it means when I say going vertical and solving the problem fully, very deeply.
Wonderful. What else did you want to tell the entrepreneurs?
And the other thing was just that it might be controversial to say this, but I just like with the distribution, especially what worked until now is not working. So if I'll go ahead, listen to people, talk to people, and they will tell you to, hey, do this stuff, you're doing this wrong. But ultimately, you would have to figure out a new path to distribution that your product, we are still discovering it, but that your product fulfills or helps grow your product. So that's the like a another classic advice. And the third one is just it's gonna take time. We are still 3 months into development, 3 full months, and still I am the product is two or three more months away from where it's actually fully like vertically usable. Need to have patience while AI on one side is going crazily, increasing crazily. So need to have that state of mind that hey, like I need to focus on this, and
Yeah.
slowly I will adapt with AI.
Wonderful. What is the one advice you would give to people who are using new AI tools? How do they build stable products? Because every day there's a new fad. Every day there is something new Google is doing or Microsoft is doing, AWS is doing, and OpenAI is doing. What is your advice? How do they be stable and stick it out? What should they be doing?
Ultimately, if you see, all products solve three or four core problems. It's just they are competing against each other. They are playing catch up with each other. Like OpenAI released real time API, Gemini 2.0 came, and they are like, hey, we are giving this for free for short time, and you can use our real time conversation API too. Now, if you see, the fundamentals are same, the use cases would be the same. So first of all, the thing is just like if you are building a product, like for example, even I get this bias as well. It's just my CTO is nice. He like that tells me, he controls me that hey, like now let's not focus on that. But when something new comes out, it's natural that hey, why are we not doing this?
Yeah.
We should be having this feature uh, on the app. And currently, what I do, this strategy I follow is we use DevRev for our building process, like work management. So I just go ahead and create an issue on DevRev that hey, like this is the idea I have. I make a loom out of it that hey, this is what we can do. Now, not sure when someone can pick it up, but if AI engineer has 2 hours free on a Friday doing nothing, then they would just go ahead. They can see it and they can try it out because even developers love trying out new things with AI.
Wonderful. On that note, Jeel, how can we help from Silicon Valley? What kind of help do you need? What is that one wish? Let's say God appeared and asked you a wish. What wish would you want granted from Silicon Valley?
Just connections. Connections is everything in Silicon Valley. So you are a good friend. You have taught me a lot too. I know, like last year when we met, we talked about your book as well. So a lot of learnings from you. And anyone you think that hey, you should talk to, I should talk to, then always happy to learn from them and learn with them.
Yeah. If you summarize the businesses you wanted to speak with, would they, of course, they are in field service, but field service is a very broad industry. It goes across many domains, many industries. So, what industries are you looking at?
So we are looking at all kinds of course, this is a very bad thing to do, but with AI, I think my intuition will be right that we can go broad with the distribution for small businesses. So anyone, not even small businesses, but if you would like to check out how the UI behind the agents look, or if you are interested in the future that like what the softwares would look like, basically as Satya Nadella said in the recent podcast, is like basically all SaaS applications are CRUD database. That's what we had been building for last 3 months. So if you want to check that out, how it looks, first of all, happy to get on a call, share insights. And secondly, the help I need from you is this is all built out of an intuition, and this is all built out of the problems I see. So there can be a bias. So if you can come in, tell us these are the things you are doing wrong, or this is what we need. For example, insurance agents. Last week, I was talking to this insurance agent, and he is also a realtor. But even though that's not our use case, but talking to him gave me a few insights of where should we focus building our product on. So I think any kind of businesses can help us with some insights and help us grow. So yeah.
So they say user interfaces will go away with agents, and you won't even go to Google search. Agents will take care of that. Is that correct? Is that how it's going to be? Is it too radical thinking like that?
No, actually, it's correct. And I'm today our software. This new feature is going live just today on 31st. Is that when you create an account, you get a phone number assigned to your account. Really excited about that. So basically, you can just save on your favorites list FieldCamp. And if you are somewhere, you just call FieldCamp and you are like, hey, create this new client. Hey, can you send this email? Can you catch me up on what I had talked with Vidya about? And you can, there's no need for UI. You are just talking to another agent.
This is a,
So,
they say user interface, but this is voice interface. This is
yeah.
your voice interface. That's very, very fascinating. Obviously, I can go on and on. Maybe if I spend 5 more minutes with you, I can get on your demo call, which I will schedule with you. I know you're a very busy man. I got you after so many months, but I do want to look at your product so that I can talk about it to my contacts here in the Valley. Jeel, this was a very fascinating conversation. I am totally in awe of how quickly you learned the agentic AI concepts and how you taught yourself AI itself, the fundamentals. And you are not a technology person. You taught yourself. I'm truly fascinated. Thank you for inspiring all the founders who will be and investors and corporate professionals who will listen to this podcast. And hopefully, by next time, when we catch up, you would have done a lot more about with your company. Yeah,
Thank you for everything and thank you for your time.
wonderful, wonderful.